I will not be that president of doubt and deception. I will lead us to a better place.
Well, how about that? Will it Mitt Romney says he won't be a president of deception. That's an odd statement from a man who plays loose with the facts day in and day out, a man who has made twisting the truth the benchmark of his campaign. So I've decided to break out the Willard meter. We're going to judge Romney's statements on a scale of 0 to 4 Willards. 0 means he's telling the truth. 4 means, well, he's really, really not telling the truth. And we're ready to try it. Let's start with Governor Romney's speech today.
If I'm the president of the United States, we're going to stop this out-of-control spending, this prairie fire of debt.
That or 2, Willard. Sure, you might help the debt fire, but it would be hard when you're pouring gasoline on it. Your tax cuts would add over $2.5 trillion to the deficit. Let's try another.
3.5 years in as president, with America in crisis, with 23 million people out of work or stopped looking for work, he hasn't put forward a plan to get us working again.
Well done. 4 out of 4 Willards. Really, the president doesn't have a job plan? Tell that to the 31 million Americans who watched him pitch the American Jobs Act to Congress. But let's be honest, Romney's been pushing the Willard meter to the limit since his very first ad.
We need to provide relief for homeowners. It's going to take a new direction. If we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose.
Willard, that one broke my machine. That ad took the president completely out of context. And what's worse, your campaign still has it posted on YouTube. Here's a reminder of what Obama actually said.
Senator McCain's campaign actually said, and I quote, "If we keep talking about the economy, we're going to lose."
Joining me now is Steve Kornacki, political columnist for Salon.com and an MSNBC political analyst. He's writing about Mitt's empty jobs boast today, and Anna Marie Cox, correspondent for The Guardian. Thank you both for being here this evening.
Sure.
Steve, all campaigns been the truth, but it seems different this time around, don't you think?
Yeah, it really does, because, you know, what Romney is trying to do here is basically give voters rationalizations. The assumption of the Romney campaign is, look, if the anxiety level of the average voter is high enough because of where the economy is, they're going to be looking for reasons to take it out on the incumbent president, looking for reasons to vote against him. And I think what the Romney campaign has basically decided at a certain level here is we don't need to deal in facts to give them rationalizations. If they're operating from an emotional place, let's give them arguments that feed the emotion, even if they're not necessarily rational. And so, you know, you see, I mean, saying that Obama doesn't have a plan on jobs, that can come from no other place but a strategy that's designed to feed on emotion like that.
So, Anna Marie, facts don't matter? I mean, let me show you this. Romney had 2 events this morning that were within an hour of each other, but I want you to watch. Look how he takes on, how his take on Congress changed depending on who he was speaking before. Watch this.
We also hope that Congress would look from time to time at how an act is being implemented and how it's being used. Sometimes Congress gives a bit of a blank check, if you will, in terms of their authority.
He's looking around. He's trying to find someone to blame. He's trying to blame Congress. He had his way with Congress, and what he did didn't produce the kind of results we're looking for.
Looks like a different setting, different take on Congress, Anna Marie.
It's true, but that's not a surprise coming from Romney. I mean, he tailors his remarks to audiences pretty much all the time. About the only time he's caught at it, or at least I should say it's more obvious when he's tailoring his remarks to various constituencies that he doesn't understand, like when he's going to farm places and when he's going to Detroit. But also he does it with policy, it's true. And I think that Steve has a really good point, that I think that the Romney campaign feels like they can do this because they are betting on the fear and anxiety of the American people. And if that fear and anxiety is amped up enough, they're not going to notice that they're just being told what they want to hear.
Steve, he has a new ad out as well. Romney does, defending his tenure as the governor of Massachusetts. Take a look.
Romney reduced unemployment to just 4.7%. He balanced every budget without raising taxes. He did it by bringing parties together to cut through gridlock.
Now, when you look at that ad, I mean, you have to laugh, Steve. It's Friday night. You can, but I mean, it's a little loose on the facts. Yes, unemployment fell under Romney, but it was still higher than the national average when he left office. Romney didn't raise taxes per se, but he raised $500 million in new fees. Yes, he balanced the budget, but that's required in Massachusetts. I mean, it's really, really deceptive. Is that what the word he used? He wouldn't be the president of deception.
Or we could say slippery. But, I mean, the balanced budget is a perfect example because he paints that in his ad as this great coming together bipartisan triumph that he had as Massachusetts governor. Well, the reality is in Massachusetts, the legislature is overwhelmingly Democratic in both houses. So if you have a Republican governor and you have a Democratic legislature, for Romney to fulfill his constitutional duties as governor, he's going to have to work with the Democrats, and they're going to have to pass a balanced budget. You know, we look at it in the context right now. If people hear about $16 trillion national debt, we think, wow, balanced budget, great achievement. But again, you know, every governor in Massachusetts does this, and every governor in most states do this because most states have balanced budget amendments to their constitutions.
Now, Anna Marie, John McCain, if nothing else, was a pretty straight kind of straightforward kind of guy. Here you have a very different candidate in will admit Romney. I mean, will the Republicans stick with this kind of guy that obviously has a different kind of answer depending on where he is and plays fast and furious with the facts?
Well, I guess it's going to depend on if he wins or not. I mean, the case is, the fact is that he has a very good chance of winning in the fall. And I think it's actually in part because he's such a slippery character. I think there are a lot of people in the middle who think, you know what, he doesn't say what he means. That maybe that means he'll do the pragmatic thing once he's in office. Because that kind of is what he did in Massachusetts. I really like what Steve pointed out. Like, he had to do those things that he boasts about. It actually reminds me a little bit of what Clinton was saying about the threshold of qualification, which I thought the thing about that Clinton quote was that he seemed to define down very low what the qualifications to be president are. And indeed, Romney does meet those very low qualifications. He meets those very low qualifications for having been a successful governor as well. If you, by governor, you mean, as Steve said, just fulfill the constitutional duties that were assigned to him.
Now, you've got to deal also with not only Romney's falsehoods, Steve. You've got to deal with the fact the president's campaign is also going to have to compete with dishonest ads from right-wing super PACs. Let me show you. Nation magazine wrote this. Right-wing groups are planning to spend $1 billion on the election. Most will go to advertisements. And what will the advertisements consist of? Intellectually dishonest attacks on the Obama record. And a lot of people are beginning to feel, particularly after Wisconsin, what's going to define this year is big money that is pushing out big lies.
I'll tell you, to be honest, I have sort of a contrarian view on the effect that money is going to have on this race, because there's going to be a record massive amount spent in the presidential race. I think presidential general election races are different than just about every other political race we have in this country, because almost every other race we have, yes, the money is going to be the decisive factor. In presidential general elections, everybody's talking about it. There's the news media, the entertainment media. There is enough information out there, I think, for sort of swing voters. The ads do not play the same sort of decisive role that they will like in a congressional race, in the mayoral race, something like that. So I think if Obama has the money to run the campaign he wants to run, which I think he will, then even if he gets outspent, I think there's a real diminishing return on the extra, tens of millions of dollars.
Anna Marie, do we really know that? Because this is the first time we have an election after the Supreme Court decision that takes the lid off of money. So conventional wisdom may hold this year, and it may not. Given the kind of unlimited access to money super PACs and outside groups can have without even disclosing, in some cases, where it's coming from.
That's right. And it's funny because I've talked to some political scientists. I talk to political scientists fairly often, actually. And they tend to disagree with us on cable news about how much importance cable news has and how much importance ads have. Most people make up their minds pretty close to the election. Most people actually make up their minds pretty soberly, looking at what they think would be best for the country. But everyone I talk to also says, but you know what? We've never seen an election like this before. We've never seen this kind of money before. We've never seen this kind of targeted voting before. This amount of money going into this amount of targeted advertising. I'm sorry. So, yeah, no one really knows what's going to happen in terms of this massive amount of money that's being poured in. And I want to point out, it just doesn't go just to ads. I mean, It goes to all sorts of things. And those things can make a difference as well when it comes to organizing, door knocking, spreading rumors. Who knows?
All kinds of things. Steve Kornacki and Anna Marie Cox, thank you for coming on the show tonight. Both of you have a great weekend.
You too.
Ahead, Republicans are the masters of gridlock. Tonight, we'll try to figure out how extreme they've become and if there's a way for the president to break through. And days away from the election for Gabby Giffords' seat, a major controversy is brewing. Why is the Republican challenger holding a rifle? Some big questions about his supporters. That's next.